It started as a simple, just a childish game meant to kill time during a stormy night. The group of teenagers laughed nervously as they stood in the dimly lit bathroom, the flickering candle casting long, distorted shadows on the tiled walls. They looked at one another, smirking, skeptical, yet unwilling to be the one to back out. They stared into the mirror, their own faces warped by the soft, quivering flame. And together they spoke her name 4 times. Bloody Mary, Bloody Mary, Bloody Mary, Bloody Mary. Nothing happened right away, and laughter replaced the tension. They joked, shrugged it off, and turned to leave. But that moment, the act of saying her name with belief, even masked as mockery, was more than enough. It was never about fear or bravery. It was about attention, about acknowledgement, and in that instant, they had reached her. What none of them knew was that the ritual doesn't end when the mirror stays silent, it begins. The moment her name is spoken with even the slightest belief, it leaves a mark and seam, intangible, but very real, a stain on the soul. It clings like smoke. Once marked, you don't simply walk away. You carry her with you. In shadows, in reflections, in the stillness between dreams. The ones marked first may not notice the signs. A flicker in the mirror that doesn't match their movements. A reflection that smiles too long. Whispers at night when no one else is awake. A slow, creeping dread that something is always behind them. Bloody Mary does not appear instantly. She waits. She watches. She learns the cracks in your sanity and slips through them. And when she does come, she doesn't knock. She doesn't ask permission. She pulls you into a place no one else can see. A mirrored world of cold glass and endless screaming, where the only escape is betrayal tricking someone else into calling her, marking them so the curse can pass on. It's a game of survival, not of bravery. Once summoned, Bloody Mary chooses you, and that choice cannot be undone. The ritual may seem like a joke, but its price is real, and the mark, it doesn't fade. Mirrors have always been more than simple glass. They are silent observers, gateways to things we're not meant to understand. Bloody Mary doesn't just use them, she lives within them. When her name is spoken, the mirror becomes more than a reflection. It becomes a mouth, an opening, a hunger. And once it wakes, it begins to feed Dot. It doesn't need to devour flesh immediately. That's not how she works. The hunger starts slowly, silently, with fear. Each time you glance into a mirror, her presence lingers just behind your reflection, a shape that vanishes when you turn, eyes that blink out of sync, a grin that holds for too long. You begin to avoid looking too long into glass. You cover mirrors, break them, throw them away, but none of it matters. She's already there. The more you fear her, the stronger she becomes. That's what the mirror truly feeds. Anticipation, obsession. She doesn't rush the moment, she savors it. Every skipped heartbeat, every shiver in your spine, every time you dream of drowning in black glass, she feeds. When she finally emerges, it's not like in the stories. No shriek, no sudden jump. She comes quietly, her eyes hollow, mouth stitched with the sins of the ones who called her. And when her hands reach through the surface, the mirror drinks what it craves most, not blood, but your soul, your presence. You don't vanish from the world. You're taken. But the mirror remains untouched, clean, ready for the next name, for the next believer. Because once it feeds, it doesn't close. It waits, and it always wants more. When Bloody Mary is summoned, she doesn't come for everyone all at once. That's not her way. She chooses her victims carefully, methodically, feeding on their growing fear and isolation. One by one, she pulls them into her world, dragging them through mirrors that no one else can see shifting. The horror isn't in the suddenness, it's in the waiting. The knowing. The helplessness that comes from being marked and watching the people around you disappear. The first victim always seems like a tragic accident or a strange disappearance, a locked room, a pool of blood with no body, a mirror shattered without explanation. But the survivors know, deep down, they feel it. They hear things, see things, they remember the ritual, and they start to realize their next dot each night becomes more terrifying than the last. Footsteps echo in empty hallways. Flickers of movement in the corner of their eyes, whispers coming from behind the glass. As each victim is taken, the pressure builds. The fear grows stronger. Bloody Mary feeds on it, relishes it, stretching the torment for as long as possible before finally taking the next one. No one is safe. No matter how far they run or how many mirrors they cover, the curse clings like shadow. The ritual was an invitation, and she never forgets those who call her. The ones left behind suffered the most, not just because they know what's coming, but because they start to see it happening. A reflection that stops matching their movements. A voice in their own tone coming from the mirror. A hand reaching out when no one else is in the room. By the time the last person realizes they're alone, the mirror is already open and Bloody Mary is already waiting. There's a secret that no one tells you when you summon Bloody Mary, a cruel loophole buried deep within the legend. The curse doesn't always have to end with you. There's a way out, but it demands something far worse than death. It demands betrayal. Once marked, you can't escape her grip by hiding or begging or even destroying every mirror in sight. She's inside you now, watching, waiting. But there's one rule that offers a sliver of hope. You can pass her on, to do it. You have to convince someone else to perform the ritual. Not just say the name, but truly believe in it. They must chant her name, stare into the mirror, and open the doorway willingly. If they do, the curse slips from you to them, like a sickness passed from soul to soul. It's the only known escape, but it leaves a stain on your hands that no one can ever see and one that never fades. Most who carry the mark resist at first. They warn their friends. They try to fight her, but as the days grow darker, as the reflections become more corrupted, desperation sets in. Sleep becomes impossible. The fear of being taken alive, pulled into that cold, endless mirror realm, becomes unbearable. Eventually, morality cracks. They find someone, a friend, a stranger, a child, and they pass it on. It's not quick or painless. The guilt eats at what's left of their sanity. But they survive for now. Until maybe one day someone passes it back. That's the twisted cycle Bloody Mary thrives on. She doesn't just want to haunt or kill. She wants to corrupt, to make the cursed into monsters of their own. Not every victim dies. Screaming some live on as carriers of the curse, disguised behind normal faces and haunted eyes. The most terrifying part of the Bloody Mary legend isn't the ritual itself, it's what gives it power: belief. It doesn't matter how many times someone mocks the story or laughs while saying her name. Deep down, if there's even the slightest fear, that's enough. That tiny crack in disbelief is the opening she needs. Bloody Mary doesn't require full devotion or worship. She only needs doubt, a flicker of what if, a single shiver when standing alone in the dark with a mirror. She doesn't come for the truly fearless or the completely skeptical. She waits for the in-between, the curious, the ones pretending not to be scared but glancing nervously over their shoulder afterward, the ones who leave the light on, just in case. That's where her strength lies. Not in the chanting, not in the candlelight or number of repetitions, in belief, in fear, in the mind's inability to completely shut the door on something ancient and awful. Once belief takes root, it spreads. You start to see her when no one else does. At first, it's small reflections that flicker, shadows that stretch too long, glass that fogs without reason. But the more you believe, the more real she becomes. Until finally, she steps through, because she's not summoned by ritual alone. She's pulled through by the force of human fear, dragged into reality by the very people trying to escape her. That's why stories about her persist. That's why people still whisper her name late at night. They think it's just a game, just folklore. But each time the story is told, each time someone listens and feels their heart beat a little faster, her reach grows. She waits in mirrors, not for the chant, but for the one who believes it might be true.
Please like and subscribe channel Fear Frequency for more horror stories. Thank you.